A husband leaves the house for 25 minutes, just a food run, and a quick stop at the pharmacy. When he comes back, his wife is outside, bleeding, barely conscious, and inside the house, something has happened that no one, not the neighbors, not her own parents, not even her husband, saw coming. By the end of this story, a jury is going to have to decide something almost impossible, whether the woman who did this was a killer, or whether her mind had simply stopped being hers anymore. This is the case of Lindsay Clancy. Before any of this, Lindsay was, by every account, kind of the person you'd want as a friend. Grew up in Connecticut, went to Quinnipiac for biology, then moved to Massachusetts and trained as a nurse. Not just any nursing either. Labor and delivery at Mass General, one of the best hospitals in the country. For 9 years, she was the person other families met on what was probably the best day of their lives. She married a guy named Patrick in 2016. They settled into a home in Duxbury, a quiet coastal town south of Boston, and had 3 kids, Cora, then Dawson, then a baby boy named Callan in May of 2022. People close to them describe a happy family, a doting mom, a marriage Patrick himself would later call wonderful. I think that's actually the part of this story people struggle with the most. There's no villain origin story here. No warning signs from years back. Just a woman who, by every outward measure, seemed fine. Until she really wasn't. Here's the thing about postpartum struggles. A lot of new moms deal with some version of it. The exhaustion, the anxiety, what people casually call the baby blues. Lindsay had dealt with mild versions of that after her first 2 kids and managed it fine. After Callan was born in May 2022, something was different, and it didn't ease up. It got worse. Insomnia that left her running on maybe 3 hours of sleep, mood swings, manic episodes where she couldn't stop talking, followed by stretches where she went completely silent and withdrawn. And then it crossed into something much darker. She started hearing voices. A voice, specifically, telling her to hurt herself and her children. By late 2022, she was seeing multiple doctors. She ended up on more than a dozen different medications, antidepressants, antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, doctors basically trying combination after combination while her condition kept sliding. In her own words, later, in a lawsuit she'd file, she said the medications were making things worse, not better. That voice never really went away. In January 2023, she pushed for inpatient care herself. She got 5 days at McLean Hospital, one of the most respected psychiatric facilities in the country. 5 days, then she was sent home with an adjusted prescription. On January 24, 2023, by all appearances, it was a normal day. Lindsay took Cora to a pediatrician appointment. That afternoon, the kids played in the snow outside their house. There's actual family video from that day. Kids laughing, building a snowman. Nothing about it looks like the day before a tragedy. That evening, Lindsay asked Patrick to run out, grab some takeout, swing by the pharmacy for one of the kids' prescriptions. Routine request. Except phone records later showed she'd mapped out almost exactly how long that errand would take her husband, 25 minutes roughly. When Patrick got home, he found Lindsay outside the house, cuts on her wrists and neck. She'd jumped from a second-story window. And inside, his 3 children, all 3 had been strangled with resistance bands, the kind of exercise equipment you'd find in any home gym. Cora was 5. Dawson was 3. Callan was 8 months old. Cora and Dawson were gone by the time help arrived. Callan was rushed to the hospital on life support. He held on for 3 days before he died too. I'm not going to walk you through more detail than that. Some things don't need it. Lindsay survived her own fall, but the injuries left her paralyzed from the waist down. She was arraigned on 3 counts of first-degree murder while still in the hospital. She pleaded not guilty. Here's where this case gets complicated and honestly, where a lot of true crime stories usually just pick a side and run with it. I'm not going to do that here, because the people actually deciding this haven't decided yet either. Lindsay does not deny what happened. She's on record saying she was the only one involved. The question the entire trial hinges on isn't who did it, it's whether she understood what she was doing when she did it. Her legal team is arguing she was in the grip of postpartum psychosis, a real, documented, though rare, medical condition. We're talking about roughly 1 to 2 out of every 1,000 new mothers. Hallucinations, delusions, a complete break from reality. Her defense points to the voice she'd been hearing for months, the medications that weren't working, the hospital stay that ended after 5 days when clearly, in hindsight, 5 days wasn't enough. But prosecutors are telling a very different story. They point out there was no forced entry, no struggle, no sign of chaos in that house. They point to the timing, sending Patrick away for a specific calculated window. Data from Lindsay's Apple Watch reportedly shows her moving briskly through the house that evening, her heart rate elevated, in what prosecutors are calling purposeful, rational action. Two completely opposite readings of the exact same 25 minutes. This case went to trial in the summer of 2026, more than 3 years after that night, and it's become one of the most closely watched criminal trials in the country because underneath the tragedy, there's a much bigger question the whole legal system is wrestling with. Can severe postpartum mental illness be a legitimate defense against a murder charge? The prosecution spent 14 days building their case, nearly 80 witnesses, medical examiners, co-workers, psychiatrists who treated Lindsay in the months before. At one point, the jury heard her own diary entries read aloud in court, entries where she wrote about feeling desperate, guilty, like her mind was trying to physically break down just so she could get a break from caring for everyone. Her own mother testified that Lindsay had told her repeatedly in the months before that she was scared, that she was having thoughts of hurting herself and the kids. Her sister said the same thing, daily suicidal thoughts, all through late 2022. And under cross-examination, prosecutors asked the obvious, painful question: if the family knew things were this bad, why didn't anyone formally report it? Even Patrick took the stand, not for the prosecution, for the defense. He described leaving that night with Lindsay calm, even gently rocking baby Callan, and then coming home to find her unconscious outside, and his children gone. He's publicly said he doesn't see her as a monster. He sees her as someone who was sick. As of right now, the prosecution has rested its case. The defense is currently presenting theirs. Nobody outside that courtroom knows how this ends. If the jury convicts her of first-degree murder, Massachusetts law means mandatory life without parole. If they find her not criminally responsible, the legal term for insanity in that state, she wouldn't walk free. She'd be committed to a psychiatric hospital indefinitely, with no guarantee of ever leaving. Either way, 3 children are gone, and whatever the jury decides about Lindsay's mind that night, it doesn't undo any of it. What this case has done, whether people agree with the defense or not, is force a wider conversation about maternal mental health and how often postpartum psychosis gets missed, minimized, or treated with 5 days in a hospital and a new prescription. To anyone who knew Cora, Dawson, and Callan, we're so sorry for what your family has lost. No verdict changes that. Thank you for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.
Ms. Clancy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think clearly where you have the U.S. Constitution, they have the, let's say, the minimal protection. The Massachusetts Constitution provides a greater protection. In the grand jury, you have wonderful first responders, and what these people went through is just horrific. But they had one witness after another, after another, after another, after another, firefighter, EMT, police, all describing the same thing that they saw when they went into that house. And that's going to be a replay on the trial itself. So the government should be in a position of presenting their evidence on criminal activity without trampling on the defendant's right not to be presenting evidence, quote unquote, against herself in that phase of the trial.
911. At what point did you call 911?
I don't know the exact time, but it took a few minutes because my phone was switching between Wi-Fi and 911. So I almost just started calling out for the neighbors, but eventually it went through.
Okay. So you had some difficulty connecting, but eventually you connected to the 911 operator?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you stay on the phone with them while they were sending people to respond?
Yeah.
Okay. While you're on the phone with 911, are they asking you questions and you're responding with information about her condition?
Yeah.
Okay. Estimate for us how long it took for first responders to arrive.
4 or 5 minutes.
Okay. And during that time, are you continuing to try to talk to Lindsay?
Yeah.
Is she responding?
She was in and out of consciousness.
Okay. Was she breathing on her own?
I believe so.
Okay. And you're communicating information to the 911 operators, and are they giving you, advice on how to deal with the situation as it progresses?
Yeah.
Okay. Once emergency personnel arrive, what do?
I immediately got up and ran to the basement.
Okay. And do you still have the phone on you? You're still on the 911 call?
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but I did.
Okay.
And what about injuries?
All right, Counsel, we're going to take a break this time, all right?
All right. Jurors, close your notebooks. Place them on the chairs, please. This way, please.
If you found this case as complicated as I did, let me know your take in the comments. And if you want more cases covered with this kind of care, go ahead and subscribe. See you next time.